What's going on, guys? We are now live. Today, I'm just going to jump right into it. The topic is going to be actually a question that was asked in the last Q&A by Dunks for Christ. He might end up in this live stream, so I'll wait to see if he comes in. But he asked if I could do a video on 1-foot jumping, and I've been asked about 1-foot jumping in the past, just to do a video on it, both the technique, which I still want to do, and then just to kind of talk about it like I'm going to do in this video. So I actually want to kind of jump to the point of this video, and that is to kind of talk about 1-foot and 2-foot jumping, but then also summarize it and say that from the research I did and the articles and stuff I read and videos I've watched, there really is no better way to jump. So I just want to start off by saying that there is no, hey, what's up, Dunks for Christ? Answering your question right now. So there is no better way to jump, and I'm going to get into the different characteristics. So Dunks for Christ said I didn't know you stream on a Wednesday. So yeah, so Dunks for Christ, and just for general Q&A, just to talk about general Q&A stuff. So I've been wanting to do these shorter Q&As, and I've done a couple in the past already. These are gonna be shorter, more topical, like 15 to 30-minute Q&As just on one topic that I look into, do more research into, and just do them like this. One throughout the week, in addition to the longer Friday Q&As where I actually answer questions that I got on YouTube, Instagram, whatever it might be, and to make that like the longer Q&As, just to answer more general questions throughout the week. So yeah, Dunks for Christ, I'm going to be doing these at least once a week, just more topical stuff that I get from suggestions that I get from you guys, or just stuff I find interesting and want to look more into. So yeah, this is one of those videos. So I'm going to get into talking about 1-foot jumping and some of the characteristics. Like I started off looking into Just Fly Sports. He has a good article out there. I listed all the references in the description if you guys want to check them out after this video. They're in the description below of like the stuff I've read and where I got some of this information from. But a big thing across all the articles was talking about the structural differences between 1-foot and 2-foot jumpers. And Dunks for Christ said I'm lucky I saw this pop up on my PC today. So yeah, that's okay. Just want to address that. So if you guys haven't clicked like the notification bell, like click that so you guys could actually see like when I go live and stuff all the time, because I've heard that like YouTube has changed it to where like you only get notified once in a while instead of all the time like it used to. So yeah, if you click that little bell down by the or the subscribe button, just click that and you'll get notified for all the videos. So yeah, I'm gonna get into I'm gonna get into what I was talking about before, the characteristics of 1-foot and 2-foot jumpers, which and all like across the articles I read, that they talked about the anatomy of both 1-foot and 2-foot jumpers. And basically the characteristics of a 1-foot jumper that's pretty common is that they are longer, like they're more lengthy, they have longer limbs, they have a generally weaker lower body compared to 2-foot jumpers. Like if you see guys like Nate Robinson, like they're usually like shorter, stockier, like they have more muscle mass compared to 1-foot jumpers. They're leaner, usually less body fat, and they're just lengthier, have longer limbs. And then another characteristics is they can hold so a 2-foot jumper is usually more explosive, like off the block. So like if a 1-foot jumper was gonna race like a 2-foot, usually the 2-foot will be like more explosive at the beginning, whereas a 1-foot will be able to hold the top speed longer throughout the race. So Dunks for Christ said usually hooping at this time because I'm injured. I saw this. Oh, that's awesome. Well, I'm glad you could be in this Q&A. Dunks for Christ. If you have any questions or anyone has any questions, just leave them in the chat and I'll definitely answer them. But yeah, so those are some of the another aspect of 1-foot jumpers, and just I guess I'm gonna get into more of the actual jump aspect of 1-foot and 2-foot jumpers. With the 1-foot jump, it's more of a running jump. So like if you guys have seen like Zach Levine or just like other 1-foot jumpers, which again I'm gonna talk more about like why there's not really a big difference in there's a difference in style, but not necessarily like how to train or one's better than the other. But yeah, guys like Zach Levine, who their takeoff point is usually higher, so they're usually already more vertical than a 2-foot jumper would be, because their loading phase is shorter, so they don't have to go through as long of an eccentric to concentric motion. So that's just basically like the loading up like a 2-foot jumper would have to do. A 1-foot jumper is more of just it's almost like a sprint into like a horizontal like launch. So horizontal and vertical launch. And actually in the Just Fly Sports article I was reading, it was talking about how that's why it seems like 1-foot jumpers are so impressive with the way they jump, because they can go, or why free throw line dunks are so impressive is because it's like a great feat of athleticism to be able to go horizontal but also take the horizontal momentum vertical. So it's like combining those two things. It's like pure athleticism. I mean, it's just like kind of how he worded it. But that's a really good article, by the way, if you guys want to check that out. But yeah, so another aspect of the 1-foot jump is there's a shorter ground contact time. So basically saying that 1-foot jumpers have like more reactive ability than 2-foot jumpers. But again, I'm going to talk more about that versus 2-foot in a little bit. But yeah, so generally 2-foot jumpers have longer loading, longer eccentric to concentric phase. 1-foot jumpers have shorter ground contact times. And in one of the studies I looked at, they found that the impact was greater for 1-foot jumpers, and that they said that it may indicate greater muscle stiffness, muscle tendon complex stiffness before the takeoff. And I kind of I thought about this, and I said, I kind of like wrote a little note here. I said this may indicate greater storage of elastic energy in order to recoil into the jump. But then, with the summary I'm going to give at the end here, it's kind of, I don't know, it's kind of not counterintuitive, but there's gonna be aspects that need to be intertwined with 2-foot jumping along with 1-foot. It'll make more sense when I talk about that. But they also measured that there are greater forces applied in the 2-foot jump, generally because the lower body is stronger. So there's just more pure strength in the 2-foot jump compared to the 1-foot jump, where again it's like more elastic, more of just a reactive, more of a reactive jump compared to 2-foot. But then I wrote another note here. However, because 1-foot approach is generally faster and more reactive, the jump heights overall were not different. So that was also from the study. They found that. So now I'm going to get into kind of why there's no better way to jump, because the study found that there was no real difference in jump height when measuring 1-foot compared to 2-foot. So I thought this was interesting because I feel like it's not always, but like it's been brought to my attention that 1-foot jumping, like it's somehow better. But I think it's just maybe because of how it looks, that it looks like 1-foot jumpers are better than 2-foot, or it's more efficient. That's another word that's been thrown around, like it's a more efficient jump, maybe because there isn't, as long as the loading phase, the ground contact time is shorter, and you could just kind of like spring into the jump. So with that being said, that maybe that's why there's like this idea that 1-foot jumping is better. But kind of like the conclusion I came to after like reading these articles and stuff is that with like with professional athletes, with like the best jumpers, the best dunkers, I mean you could see that they could jump well both ways. It just depends on the situation. So like if someone's on a fast break, and they've already developed 1-foot jumping, then they could take off from 1-foot. Whereas if they're in the paint, or if they're just going off of like a lob or something, they could catch it off 2 feet too. But like the point I wanted to make with that is that to say that there's no better way to jump, because the professional athletes are like the best jumpers, best dunkers, they have developed both reactive ability and overall strength. So Dunks for Crisis kind of like address your question and kind of answer it. If you're wanting to train one, like I wouldn't just train one or the other, like train both and develop both, like maybe because of your anatomy or because of your genetics or how you're built, maybe you favor jumping off of 2 feet, or jumping off of 1 feet because you have longer limbs, or it's just what you practice more of your life compared to 2-foot. So like if you already feel stronger in one aspect, then strengthen the opposite aspect. So like if you're a 1-foot jumper, then maybe your reactive ability is already really good. So with that being said, you can start to work on more of the strength aspect to strengthen your lower body, but also continue to get better with the 1-foot jumping. So that way that, you're progressing in what you're already strong at, but then you're also kind of like bringing up your weakness to meet the strength of, the opposite jump. So that's just that was kind of my takeaway. I'm just gonna kind of read what I said because I just kind of like just from the articles I read and stuff, I just kind of wrote a good summary here. So I just want to kind of read it and just wrap up what I got from all this. So Dunks for Christ said, Mike, so you said usually 1-foot jumpers are more lengthy and long. Wouldn't you be better as a 1-foot jumper because your wingspan is hella long? Yeah, so Dunks for Christ, it's not so much like it wouldn't be necessarily correlated with wingspan because I mean, yes, there is like you do get momentum from that aspect of the jump from your arm swing, but the lengthiness is coming from your like the tendon length and where your muscles actually connect to your tendons in your leg. So that's more of where like the lengthiness is coming from. It's not from like how long your wingspan is or anything. It's more of like your whole structure together. Like yes, my wingspan might be longer than I am tall, but I'm like I don't look as lengthy as like a 1-foot jumper might be at my same height. It's just like if you look at 1-foot jumpers, like they just look different than somebody who is stockier, has maybe a little more mass, and just those are the people that you would see that jump off of 2 feet. So going back to like Nate Robinson versus Zach LaVine, like yes, Zach LaVine is like a lot taller, but Nate Robinson is just shorter, stockier compared to Zach LaVine, who has like longer limbs. So yeah, he said, "All right, yeah, get it." Yeah, so that's what I mean by like lengthy. It's like it's more of the like literally like the tendon length compared to the 2 jumpers. So yeah, so I'm just gonna read this right here. It may seem that the best way to improve in jumping either way is to evaluate which jumper you are and work the aspects of the opposite jump. So like I said, whatever you're weaker in, work that. So like if you're 1 foot, maybe you're good at reactive, so work the strength aspect that a 2-foot jumper would be stronger at already. So so yeah, so if you're a 1-foot jumper, you're probably already quicker and more reactive to the ground. So doing more strength as a 2-foot jumper would be strong in, while continuing to improve your 1-foot technique could be more beneficial than just working at the one thing. But I put on the other hand, if you're stronger in your lower body overall and favor 2-foot, then working to improve your reactive strength and or speed may lead to a more explosive jump. So I wrote like example would be like Russell Westbrook. Like I've seen him jump off of 1 foot and 2 foot, both almost equally explosive. But it's just when you look at people. Yeah, so Dunkster Christ said, yeah, like Guy Dupay compared to Porter Mayberry. Yeah, exactly. So Guy Dupay, like he jumps off of 1 foot a lot, but I've also seen him jump off of 2 feet. Whereas Porter Mayberry, like, yes, he may be able to get a lot of height with the 1 foot jump, but he doesn't like that. That's not favorable for him because he's shorter and he's more. He wouldn't be his limbs aren't as long as like a 1 foot jumper like Guy Dupay is. That makes sense. It sounded like it came out really weird. But yeah, like it would just be interesting to see. I don't think I've ever seen Porter Mayberry dunk off of 1 foot, but I would assume like from him being at the like at the athleticism that he's at, I feel like he would be able to get as high, if not still be able to dunk off of 1 foot. It just feels more natural for him to jump off of 2 feet. And now that I'm like talking about it, it could be like also associated with like a center of mass, which I didn't look into that. But if you're usually 2-foot jumpers are like shorter, so maybe their center of mass is lowered to the ground already compared to a 2-foot or compared to a 1-foot jumper who is longer. Tungster Christ said, yeah, me neither. He always jumps off of 2. Yeah. So yeah, I think it's just a combination of what you've practiced your whole life, like your anatomy, what you like, how quick you are, how reactive you are compared to how strong you are. Maybe you've been in the weight room most of your life, or you've favored lifting weights and getting stronger compared to working plyometrics or something. Because I mean, like I'll just give my experience on how I've developed the 2-foot jump, and like since I was 12 or 13 years old, I've been in the gym, like not necessarily like working anything specific, but I've just been working out since like 12 or 13. So I feel like I've gained I feel like I've gained more strength than I have like reactive ability in the time I was working out, if that makes sense. So, I mean, even during basketball season, like I would love to be in the weight room. So, you know, just constantly, you know, having the focus of just wanting to get stronger versus like, doing plyometric stuff. I feel like, maybe that's why I developed an advantage in terms of like gaining lower body strength compared to, maybe if in that time span I was working my reactive ability or 1 foot jump more, than that, maybe I'd be a 1 foot jumper right now. But so Dunkster Christ said, so Mike, to summarize, to train as a 1 foot jumper, I should train like a 2 foot jumper and work on the weaknesses like strengthen in the lower body. Well, so do you consider yourself a 1 foot jumper or 2 foot jumper? Like which one feels better to do right now, 1 foot or 2 foot? Yeah, and then he said, and like 2 foot jumpers should train reaction time and stuff like their weaknesses. Yeah, because at the end of the day, you don't want either one to be a weakness. So I feel like it's just whatever doesn't feel as natural to you, work that so that it becomes more natural. So like because if you see 2 foot jumpers, they look as they would they look as explosive as like a 1 foot jumper would be. Like look at Russell Westbrook. Like he jumps off of 2 feet more explosive than maybe some 1 foot dunkers do. But it's because like you have to train both aspects, strength and reactive ability with either side, whether if you're 1 foot or 2 foot. Okay, so if 1 foot, yeah, so if 1 foot feels better for you, then like maybe you already have quickness, maybe you're a little longer. Um, maybe it's just what you've practiced most of your life up to this point. So like maybe that's a sign that if you continue to get stronger in your legs or in your lower body, that it'll start to feel more natural or it'll start to feel better. Like you'll start seeing like gains in your vertical if you work on strength, but keep working on your technique with 1 foot jumping. Because like from doing this research, like I've just thought, like that's where I have that's when I saw like a big transition in my vertical, was when I started to work like the plyometric side of things. Because I had done all that strength training with basketball, with just weightlifting in the gym, and it wasn't until like when I did the flight right program, like that was almost solely plyometrics up until like the last couple months. So I feel like it pushed me to do something I hadn't done yet. And I feel like that's why I probably quit it at the beginning, because it was something I wasn't comfortable doing. But then as I started to work more of the side that I wasn't working, which is like the reactive side, that I continue to get better. Not to say like playing basketball isn't you're not, you're constantly sprinting, you're constantly, that in itself is a plyometric exercise, but I feel like it's just different when you're purposely focused on reactive strength to jump compared to sprinting. I mean, yes, like there's like some correlation, but when you're purposely working it to jump higher, I feel like it's different than when you're working to play basketball. So I feel like, I mean, just to give an example of like if you're looking for like workouts or anything, like if you're a 1 foot jumper, maybe you should work more on like your box squat, or you should work to strengthen like your deadlift or something like that. Like work on the heavier movements, but then on the other side of things, still work on the plyometrics. Like the ladders, the depth jumps, the drop jumps, like the single leg tuck jumps, up just stuff that still works your reactive strength, which I've been incorporating a lot more into my training, is working both plyometrics and strength training. Um, Not like hand in hand. Like I'll switch off. Like I'll kind of give, if I work plyometrics, I'll kind of give that a little bit of a break and then work some strength, and then like 2 days later go back to, or 2 or 3 days later go back to plyometrics. So I'm not like overtraining one side or the other. But yeah, dunks for Christ. Was there anything else you wanted to know about like 1 foot jumping? I mean, other than like maybe make a technique video on it. Okay. He said, yeah, I get it. Cool. Yeah, I mean that's like my goal with these Q&As too, is like to summarize a topic like that, like this, and into one page and just like break it down, you know, like little by little, just to kind of like get the point across and make it like simplified, because I feel like there's a lot of information out there on on a lot of things. So like if you're just getting lost in like, well, is this right or is this right? I feel like I'm just trying to do these videos so I could just kind of like bring different sources together and just kind of boil it down into the main points. It's not to say that this applies to every jumper, every 2 foot jumper, every 1 foot jumper. It's just, you have to look at what's been looked at, what's like what's been written about, what other people have seen, like what other people have experienced, and just like take all that and kind of, think about it for yourself and see, maybe see if there could be any correlations. Dr. Christ said maybe 2 foot technique too, because I want to work on 2 foot as well. Yeah, I could do that, Dr. Christ. I think I have that like in my notes to do a video on is 1 foot and 2 foot just jumping technique. I mean, like my 1 foot is definitely my weak point. So like, I would have to like I still, I'm getting better at 1 foot. So I don't think I would do a video on that. But I would probably do a video on 2 foot before 1 foot. But I mean, it would definitely push me to get better at 1 foot. And not to say like get better at 1 foot jumping, but get better at reactive ability and like reactive strength. So that way, that would carry over into getting my 1 foot better. So Dunker Christ said this is a question that isn't related, but what experiments can we expect soon? So like there was an experiment that I've been asked to do a couple that I've been asked to do in person, and it's gonna be the next one I do. It's gonna be a workout. I think the suggestion was a workout, 2 days off, and then a dunk session. So that'll probably be the next experiment I do. And then after that, I'll go back to my suggestions. And then I know you suggested one Dunks Christ dunking with people around. So those two will probably be the next two I do. Whichever one comes first, that'll be the one I do. But I mean, I've already dunked with people around, so that's why, I feel like it's definitely different. I haven't like done like an experiment where I focus on that specifically. But I mean, you definitely feel like your adrenaline is higher when there's people around. Like we talked about before. Like I feel like it's just like a natural instinct to. It's almost like fight or flight. Like either I'm gonna get this dunk, or it's like I'm a complete failure to like all these people that are around me or something. I don't know. Just more energy, more adrenaline, like when people are around. So it just like pushes you to go even harder. But it's almost like subconscious. It's like you can't even tap into that. Like when you're by yourself. I don't know. Maybe you can. Maybe that'll be the goal. Another question is like for squats is it's like an exercise where 2 feet are involved, but what are their exercises to strengthen just solely 1 foot and not two? Well, I mean, you could just do single leg squats. Like you could do Bulgarian squats, you could do lunges, um, you could do like single leg tuck jumps. I mean, it's just basically anything you would do with 2 feet, just tweak the exercise and just do it with 1 foot. Um, but yeah, those are probably like the main ones you could do, like the Bulgarian split. You could do split squats, you could do scissor jumps, you could do um, lunges. I mean, just single leg jumps in general. There's another one from the flight rate program I did called there. He called them deer lunges on there, but I mean they're probably known by a bunch of different names. But it's basically like you put 1 foot on you put your 1 foot up on a bench, and then your other foot is like out in front of you, and you basically just kick your foot up, like to bring your basically like kicking your foot up your knee to your chest as fast as you can. It's like you want to keep the ground contact time as short as possible. But you could also do like single leg stability ball, single leg, um, just like single leg pistol squats. Yeah. So let's go over those again. So like pistol squats, single leg, Bulgarian squats, lunges. What are the other ones? Single leg tuck jumps, and those deer lunges. Yeah, I think those would all be good to just work like slowly single leg. And if you want to keep like working reactive ability, then there's also, working in plyometrics with that, doing like single leg like sprints or gallops or like skip hops or another single leg. But yeah, I'm gonna be posting more like workout videos. I'm actually take one today so I can post that either today or tomorrow. But I definitely want to post more of like the workouts that I'm doing and just like post more of the progress. Even if the videos are like more raw than edited, I mean, I still just want to share more and get more out there to you guys. Yeah, so the deer lunge is basically you put one foot up on a bench, like so you kind of get into like a lunge position, but your back foot is up on the bench, like it's propped up on the bench, and then your other leg is out in front of you, and then you just basically like with the foot that's in front of you, you just jump up. You just like jump up and bring that knee to your chest, or bring that knee to your chest, and then let your leg go back down, but then you just keep kicking back up as fast as you can. So like you want to be on the ground. You want your foot to be on the ground, um, with as little and you want your foot to be on the ground as little as possible. So that way you're just like kicking right back up. See, like in the flight rate program, that workout would probably be. I mean, I don't remember the exact amount of reps, but I just remember like the reps in that workout were just a lot. And not to say it was a bad thing to develop that, but I just feel like it's working more endurance. So like stick to like no more than 5 reps of those, so that way you're getting like you're being as fast as possible and you're applying as much force to the ground as you can in like each rep. Dr. Christ said, "What exercises do you recommend to stretch your hip flexors?" Um, so you can use like a foam roller and just rest it on like on either your glute area, your psoas, the side of your hip. In the workout videos, I definitely posted. I definitely did some hip flexor exercises in that, but you could do that, and then you could also get into like a lunge position and like stay straight, like have your torso like up straight up and down, and then just kind of like bring your arms over your head and just stretch back as far as you can, and you'll really feel that in your hip flexor. You could also do, ooh, what's another one? I mean, you could also just like sit into a squat, just like pushing your knees out and just like holding a squat like that. Um, Trying to think of more. You could do like leg swing. Like leg swings are good for dynamic leg swings, and like bring your knee in front of you and then to the side. So like it's like a sweeping motion. So like doing that, like it's a good hip opener. And then like I said, leg swings, doing like front to back and then side to side, like in front of you. Those are good too, as like a dynamic warm up. Or also, I forgot what it's called. I think they're basically where you're on all fours and you lift your leg out to the side with your knee bent, and then you basically like do like another like sweeping motion. I've been doing a lot more like elastic stretches, like more dynamic moving stretches compared to like to yoga or static type stretches. Like those are still good, but just from what I read about like the fascia from from the Q&A I did before, it just seems like it's a lot better to do like more of like bouncing type stretches than than like slow releasing stretches. So yeah, if you haven't tried dynamic stretches, I would definitely try those because those will help you in more of like functional training and jumping and just moving compared to static stretches. All right, so I'm probably gonna end this Q&A. If you guys have any more questions before I end, I'm probably gonna end like the next couple minutes. So if you guys have any more questions, just let me know. Or if you have any suggestions for like these Q&As, like I said, I'm gonna be doing like these type of Q&As once a week, along with the Friday Q&As where it's just a longer Q&A answering questions from the week. So I just like to do these more like topical ones because like it's just like it's cool to dive more into things and learn more about them, and then talk about it with you guys and just simplify it in a way to talk about in like 15 to 30 minutes. So maybe you guys can get something from it, or just look at the sources that I post in the description, or just um have you guys like make you guys think about it a little bit more. But yeah, just like it's just cool to like to learn about these things and like narrow down the key points. And thanks to Christ, at this Q&A and basically answered all my questions, so I think I'm good. I really like this one. Thank you. I appreciate that. Like I said, I'm just gonna keep, I just want to keep getting better with these, keep getting better with like the videos I'm posting, the content I'm putting out. So I mean, any feedback or suggestion you guys ever have, just let me know, and I definitely like read all of them and answer back to all of them. So just let me know like if you guys ever have any suggestions or recommendations or anything. I will definitely see them one way or another. So, but yeah, I think I'm gonna end this Q&A here. So I will see you guys um, in the next Q&A. If you guys are here, there's going to be another one Friday, which is going to be again like the longer one. But that's it for this Q&A. So thank you guys for tuning in, and I will see you guys later.